Senator Shaheen.
Thank you. Welcome to all of our nominees this morning and to your family and friends who are here with you. Ms. Hooker, I want to follow up on that a little bit because I appreciated your comment about the importance of allies and partners in your opening statement. However, you talked about, you inferred that tariffs, we can get past the tariff issue and address the concerns of our allies and partners. And yet, as we think about the trilateral relationship, what we've seen since the announcement of the tariffs just this past week is that Japan and South Korea are meeting with China because they're so concerned about our tariffs. So how do we address that kind of concern? Because what's happening is it's pushing our allies toward China instead of away from them.
Thank you, Senator. And I also want to thank your staff for meeting with me this week and spending some time sharing with me about your concerns. I appreciate that, and I look forward to working with the committee and working with your team on these issues going forward. Senator, as the President and the Secretary have said, tariffs are just one tool in our economic and our trade toolbox, but they are aimed at making our trade more reciprocal, not only with
No, I understand what the talking points are, Ms. Hooker, and I don't want to interrupt you, but when we see our allies moving toward China very directly, what's our best response to address that?
Thank you, Senator, for that question and the follow-up. What I'd like to point out is that actually Japan will be entering into negotiations with the United States as a result of these tariffs. They are bringing Japan to us, and this will be a tool that will even out trade and make the United States more prosperous as a result.
Well, maybe I'm not being clear. What I'm really asking is when we see that kind of direction happening, what do we do? What would you do? Would you call our contacts, your contacts in Japan and South Korea and try and reassure them about the ability to negotiate or mediate some sort of an agreement? It seems to me that when we see that kind of action, it demands a response from our officials in the government. But to go on to another topic, I also appreciated your talking about strengthening the diplomatic workforce in your opening statement and the importance of attracting the best and brightest people to the Department of State. I agree with that. What I'm concerned about is that what we've already seen since the new administration took over is a great deal of uncertainty about what's going to happen at the State Department. We already know that all of the personnel, virtually all of the personnel, over 10,000 people at USAID have been fired, and that bureau has been eliminated that provides important foreign assistance throughout the world. So how do we attract the best and the brightest when there's that kind of uncertainty around what's happening at the State Department?
Thank you, Senator, for that question. It's my view that the President and the Secretary of State are taking a very close look at how we manage workforce going forward and how we streamline government and how we streamline our budget, and I support that. I'm not privy to the conversations internally on how those decisions are being made, but if confirmed, I look forward to returning and speaking to you about this if you have further questions.
Thank you. I would hope that you would, because I think it's going to be hard to attract the people that we're going to need when there's so much uncertainty about what's happening within the department. Mr. Donano, you talked about the importance of addressing our nuclear stockpiles, and I know that President Trump has publicly said that he wants to see if we can denuclearize and express support for launching nuclear talks with China and Russia. In 2022, you wrote an article that called the Biden administration's arms control policy diluted for pursuing nuclear arms control with Russia and China. So, given that, do you have reservations about the president's objective, or is it just because he's the president who's nominated you, who shares your political philosophy, that now you feel like that's an appropriate path to move down?
Thank you for the question, Senator. I differ from the prior administration's view on arms control. This administration would pursue arms control that is enforceable and verifiable. I think in that article I was referring to the extension of the New START treaty with no strings attached, no further negotiations. I think that was the wrong thing to do, and we gave away our leverage. So that's what I was referring to.
Thank you for the clarification. Thank you, Mr.